Well, hey everybody, welcome into another edition of Talk About Watches Live. My name is Tim, and tonight this is going to be fun. We're going to welcome Alan. He, of course, is at the helm for both Gentlemen's Warfare and Egard watches. And tonight we're going to focus on Egard. And that means you're going to see some pieces that are somewhat high-end, and then others that are going to be made extremely affordable via our factory direct, shall we say, I was going to say policy, but the point is, whenever possible, we like to work factory direct. And that means streamline, and that means you guys save a great deal of money. So we got some very cool mechanical automatics for you tonight, also some quartz, and something that we haven't had on Talk About Watches before, prototypes, solid titanium prototypes with Swiss automatic movements installed. Check your email and social media. We've already posted them. They're extremely scarce, and I think there's only 3 that are going to be made per color, so I can't even guarantee that all 3 are there at this point, but just heads up, you can go to the website right now, just look at the link, of course, off to the side or underneath, depending on how you're watching us, and check that out. Quick reminder, join our email list if you haven't yet done so. We will not spam you. We hate spam too. And we never sell or share the list, so you are safe with us. When you do, you're going to get an email a day that will include a deal of the day. It's also going to give you industry news when we can, and it'll give you access to our closed group on Facebook. And when you join that group, you'll actually get a notice even ahead of the email as to deals and special events and so on and so forth. Plus, you can share images and conversation and so on. So look for that. All of that provided free of charge, of course, from talkaboutwatches.com. Please do us a favor if you would. If you like what we do, please share this on your various social platforms. It'll only take you a few seconds, doesn't cost you anything, and it'll really help us get the word out. So please share us around. If you're watching us now, you are looking either at Facebook Live or YouTube Live, but we also support Twitter. We also support Instagram and Google+. So if you prefer any or all of those platforms, do join us over there. We'd love to have you guys along for the ride. Also, look for payment options. We're working on some new ones for you guys, so check back often on that. And of course, for a while now, we've had PayPal credit. And once you qualify, which you can do on the very last page of checkout, by the way, you use it and you get 6 months of no interest with nothing down and no payments due. And as long as you pay it out by the due date, there's no interest, and it really takes these watches and makes them even more accessible. So please do check that out. All right, with all that stated, let's get underway and welcome Egard and Alan to the show. Well, hey everybody, Alan joining us on the show. Thank you for doing this, man. I appreciate it. You've got an outstanding collection.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I like being on the show.
You know, the feedback, like I'm telling you something. I mean, I watched the social media, huge presence, obviously Facebook, Instagram, and so on. I mean, the feedback you guys are getting is A, so positive, and B, I think it's absolutely deserved.
Thank you. No, that means a lot. I think that the thing about the watches that makes people give that kind of feedback is that they're so different. I've noticed that's a trend. We get a lot of emails saying, hey, I have this watch, I have this watch, I have this watch. So much for this watch, but when I wear your watch out, I just get stopped on the street. People notice it. So I think they fill that purpose, which other watches don't necessarily do at that price point.
Well, let's go ahead and leap into the first one here, which I think is going to be the Rush, if memory serves.
Yeah, we're going to go with the Chrono Rush first.
Awesome.
There's 2 editions of the Rush. Yeah.
So let's start with talking about the price that we're going to do, and then any color options, that sort of thing.
Okay, so we're gonna do 2 versions of this watch. There's the stealth version, which is all black. It's a PVD black case with a black dial, hence the name stealth. And that one right there with a black leather strap.
Right.
Black buckle on the back. And then we have the classic, which is a white dial, brushed steel case, and also a black strap, steel buckle. These are deployed classes. That's in the back, so people can see.
One of the first things that leaps to mind, other than I look and just love the originality on this, is that it's such beautiful proof that you can do quartz builds and they're still really collectible and really cool.
So there's a couple things about this sports watch that are unique. I don't know if you follow MMA, but I made this watch and designed it with George St. Pierre. He's an MMA legend. So we designed it together. The back of the watch actually has his Superman punch and some information back there. It still comes with a lot of things that you just wouldn't get even on an automatic watch or other watches, which is that this case shape is very unique. We were able to make the profile pretty thin since it's quartz, which is really nice. It has that curved sapphire crystal that a lot of people love, but now it's at a more attainable price point. And there's something about this specific quartz watch that, for me, makes it totally different than other quartz watches, which is that everything is done on these discs. So the chronograph function is on the disc, the time telling is on the disc. So we modified the movement enough that you wouldn't even know, sorry about that, that's just my notification filter going up. You wouldn't even know that it's a quartz watch by looking at it. There's no stop secondhand to notice. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
it has very unique functions for a quartz watch, very unique design, and still has certain things that you wouldn't find on most other watches out there anyway. So again, that's kind of a nice little aspect of this watch right here.
Well, as we're looking at this, I have to say it seems that one of the challenges must have been to accommodate the disc, whereas traditionally, obviously, hands would have been.
Yeah, we have to. Well, there's a couple problems that come up when you're doing that. The first problem is that the movement isn't necessarily strong enough to actually move the discs. We use aluminum discs, plastic, and so they have a certain weight to them, and the movement has to be able to generate enough force to spin them. And then you have the chronograph function, so there's the additive, and then there's also the layering of the discs. I don't know if it's possible to see here, which makes it really difficult because the discs have to be able to go over and under each other without interacting. So there are problems that arise from it, but it does create a very unique kind of symmetrical style, which, you know, there's a couple things going on this style. There's, you know, the back of the dial actually has a texture that reacts differently to light. So you see those stripes that might come up depending on how the light hits it. And then you have the discs, and then you have a little bit of carbon fiber on there too. So there's just a bunch of stuff going on. And then again, with the shape and the curved sapphire crystal, it makes for a unique looking watch for sure.
Yeah, which I think is really one of the strengths of this build. And by the way, for you automatic fans, we're going to be moving to that in a moment. And there is going to be a price move on that, which I'm sure you're expecting. So just hang in there for your automatic fans. But again, when you look at things like the texture that's in the background and in the stacked disc and so on, you don't see a lot of brands that are willing to step up, especially in the quartz realm, and do this level of creativity. And I think that has to be at least one of the key reasons why you guys have really blown up as a watch brand in 2018.
Yeah, I think we're trying to offer something unique at every price point. Sometimes you have to use different movements to hit something unique at a certain price point. And so with this watch, we wanted to be able to create something really, really unique, fit George's and my vision of what the watch should be. Keep it elegant, have that Egard flair, which, you know, is our unique case or unique crystals, and still offer it at a price point that was attainable. And so this was a great compromise. And I don't really see it as a compromise. In fact, I love the chronograph movement. I love the features on the watch. It's clean, and I think because it's quartz, we were able to get the profile thinner. There's certain qualities on this one that are different than what we could do with an automatic. And so, as a designer, I like to explore every possibility, and so it gave me an opportunity to do both.
Yeah, that's another advantage I think you guys have as a company is you are physically involved in the actual design, whereas as well, for those of you at home, maybe you don't know, you know, there's a lot of guys at the helm of a watch company who have nothing whatsoever to do with the design. They're either farming it out or they've got something, I mean outside the company, or they're away from it. And to see you so hands-on, you can really see the creativity that's stepping up. I'm going to move to the automatic version of this, but as I do want to, again, at the moment, we're looking at the Rush chronograph. And ordinarily, you can get this for $350. We are at $249. And guys, again, check out those payment options that we've got now over at talkaboutwatches.com. You don't have to call. You don't have to do anything. Just hit the link. You'll see it either below or off to the side, depending on the device. And enjoy. Okay, so let's move to the next piece. And obviously, we just showed you the quartz chrono. Now let's move to an automatic option. And for those of you who don't know, automatics mean this is the kind of watch that you wind. In real simple terms. And I imagine, Alon, there must have been another handful of challenges moving this kind of a design concept into the automatic realm.
Yeah, this watch was my most difficult. I mean, the Qantas and this one are tied in terms of how difficult they were to make and how much of a headache it was to mess with the movement. And like you said, I do all the design work. We don't use any other designers. I do the prototyping right here. I have a 3D printer for my cases and stuff like that. I come up with the modifications for the movement. So there's a lot of hands-on work and a lot of testing that goes into it. And, you know, we do everything from scratch, all our casework, all our dials, everything. So, yeah, when we're going for something crazy like this, it presents a whole slew of difficult issues in the early prototyping phases. That just takes time. Took about a year to get it perfectly right. So, you know, this watch again has our curved sapphire crystal with our coating. Has, you know, a lot of features on the 9100 movement. There's a power reserve on top, day, date, month. the discs. In the back, we have the Superman punch with an exhibition window with George's signature and the limited edition numbering. So it's all on there. I mean, there's a lot of unique features, again, on this piece that are just very, very hard to come by. In this one, we're doing two different colors. We're doing the rose and the night. And the night, so here's the rose. The night has a steel case and a black dial. It's a really popular color as well. The rose is very unique with the blue strap. I think this one's for people who like things that really pop on the wrist, this color, whereas the night's a little bit more classic and clean. Yeah. So this one was definitely a lot more difficult to make than almost any other watch we've ever made.
Yeah, if this helps you guys make a decision, by the way, the one that's been layered in the rose gold that really plays into, for those of you who don't know, the fact that rose gold is charged a premium when you get to the ultra high-end watches. I'll just use round numbers. If you say you're looking at a $30,000 watch in yellow gold, if you want that in rose, you could be looking at 35, 36, and all they did was use a different alloy. And it is the most friendly to more skin tones, but also there's a regal elegance to it over the years as that tradition has developed. So just kind of know that. You know, we haven't really talked about price here, so I'm going to go over that. Ordinarily, this automatic option is $950, and for those of you who know the complexity of the automatics, you can appreciate this. But you're at what, $669, I think?
Yep, $669.
Yeah, which is a huge discount on this watch. Is it for everybody? No, but frankly, I don't think automatics are anyway. You get these two camps. So what are the advantages? Well, quartz is going to be more accurate, more maintenance-free, but I think if you really want, and Alon, feel free to chime in here, I think that part of the allure, certainly for me, the allure of the automatics and the mechanicals is that mechanical artistry that has to happen to make something like this even occur in the first place.
Yeah, I think there's a beauty to mechanical watches, and I think there's a functionality to quartz watches. Not that quartz watches can't be beautiful and automatic watches can't be functional, but there's a lot more work that has to go into a mechanical watch, building the pieces. There's something nice about the fact that it just runs off the movement of your wrist. And it's, you know, in a time where everything is technological and digital, you have something that just totally self-sustainable and works off of your own kinetic movement. There's something very nice about that. There's something that ties it into the whole heritage and history of watches.
And for you that want the what I consider the advantages of the automatic, you are literally saving hundreds by picking it up through TAW. Again, look for our payment options. We're really happy as that's been developing, so be sure to check that out. I'm going to go ahead and move the show onwards because now we're going to get into something we haven't really talked about on the show in general a lot, and that is how to put this? Well, I guess we'll just call it what it is, which is the engraved case, the decorated case.
Oh, yeah.
And here again, something I really admire that Egard is doing is you don't see a lot of companies really stepping up and doing engraving work and 3D work. If they do, it's probably on the dial, maybe a little bit of decoration on the back, which, by the way, you noticed the previous incarnations, the back of these are fantastic sculptures, and I love the sculpted backs that they're doing. But now we're actually getting into the case work, which is rather detailed.
Yeah, so this was, so I'm just trying to make sure my notification stuff going up, but this was something we worked really hard on. We started looking into how we could make completely engraved cases with the black staining. We wanted to make it super, super high quality and feel, you know, as high end as possible on the wrist. We kept the profile of this watch really thin for an automatic watch, and still managed to get the engraving done. I don't know how visible it is here, but I know that there's great footage of the engraved cases. Again, this watch as a whole is very unique. Kind of has that steampunk vibe.
Right.
And so, again, you get a lot of really, really nice stuff on this watch. You get an engraved case, fully engraved, which at this price point is non-existent anywhere else, especially at this quality. Again, you got to feel this and see it in your hand. There have been reviews on this piece, and everyone is just blown away. Every review we get on just the quality of the engraving and the case construction quality. You get a sapphire crystal, you get a Miyota automatic movement. Again, that's, you know, we put the discs here, just one disc, so you still have hand. The whole case here and the whole dial design is just very unique, kind of has its own special style. And this one actually comes as a set. So you don't just get the leather bracelet, you also get a really, really nice metal bracelet with it. So there's a whole you know, package that comes with it.
So does that, the bracelet versus the strap, does that need a changing tool, or is that a quick change, or how's that working?
You need a changing tool for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I always recommend people, if they haven't done, you know, strap changing before, you know, it's not that difficult. And, you know, they could do it themselves if they're worried about strap. Jewelers usually charge
Yeah, I agree. Guys, if you don't have it yet, we carry what I think is one of the strongest values I've ever encountered in a toolkit. It's over on talkaboutwatches.com. It's only $29.95. It will literally pay for itself. If you don't want to go the toolkit route, which again, seriously, will pay for itself, run this to a jeweler and it'll cost you a few bucks to get it done, but then you also don't have to worry about scratches. So that's maybe a good way to look at this. We haven't talked about price yet, so I do want to get into that for a second here. This is normally $650, but you guys are picking this up for just $399. And one of the things, Alon, I want to get into is that at $399, where it's not just another automatic. This is one that's also semi-skeletonized.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can see the beating heart right there.
Right.
And on the back, again, you can see, well, the plastic's still on this one, but you can see the actual movement in the back. So, yeah, it's not a fully skeletonized movement, but you can definitely see some of the inner workings of the movement there. You can see the details of the balance wheel from the front and the back, which is always nice. Yeah, there's just some nice features to this watch. The dome crystal engraving. Again, I think this is a watch that you can't find these. Again, what I try and do with every collection is what can I offer that is not available anywhere else on the market at this price point. So I think we hit it with this one.
Yeah, and I think that creativity really, really pays off because I know from experience that watch guys and watch girls love something that's fresh and new and different. And as I've been fond of saying over the years, I don't think the world necessarily needs another pie plate. And you guys are actually doing something that is special. It is different. It's not a retread. This is very cool stuff. Let's move from this piece, and we'll get into the Aqua for you guys now. As we get to this next one, and again, a reminder as we move, the previous was $650, it's now $399. Moving to another V1, but it's called the Aqua, as you'll see for obvious reasons. It lists for $550. You guys are going to be able to pick this one up at just $359. And by the way, we have some other pieces coming up shortly that are going to be, won't be like this, but they are going to be below $100. So hang in there, we're going to get to that in just the next few minutes. We literally have something for everybody on this show. But let's jump into the Aqua. How did this one come about, man?
So I have a thing for blue.
Right.
You know, it's just, I love blue as a color. It reminds me of the ocean. And I wanted to hit a really specific kind of blue. Actually, this one I have an example right here with the metal bracelet. There it is on the metal bracelet. Again, I get the same one that's on the engraved. And this one also comes with a blue leather strap, so it's a set also. And the blue we got on this watch is just stunning. It really feels like you're in water. You know, and then it also has that blue plated bezel. Which I thought really complements it nicely. So you're getting something again here that's super unique with the blue crown, the blue bezel, and this aqua kind of water-like dial. And again, it's hard to notice, but the dial here changes depending how the light hits it. And so, you know, like I said, it's my favorite color. I wanted to make something that was really, really unique. I felt again that this was the perfect watch for that. So I'm in love with this one.
So it sounds like you had a very specific Pantone of blue in mind as you were creating this. How long did it take to actually nail the blue on the watch? Did you guys hit it like the first or second time? Did it take a while? How was that process?
Well, this is actually the second iteration of this watch. Originally, it was under Gentlemen Warfare. It sold out so quickly. This watch was so successful that we remade it under the Egard brand. And so the blue actually took quite some time to get the way we wanted it and to kind of refract with the light that way. And I think we did about 4 prototype variations of it. And on the 4th one, we got it to look the way I really wanted.
Yeah, because you're right. It's a gorgeous blue. It has, I mean, obviously it has the blue presence, but there's also almost like a steel, kind of an influence into it, almost like a steel gray. It's a really cool finished production.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, I like when watches have some kind of cathartic response or emotional response anywhere. So this one actually relaxes me. And again, it has some really nice wrist presence, and it just pops on the wrist. And, you know, colors go a long way. That tone is really special. So. But the whole watch is unique. Again, like I said, it has all these, you know, design features that are just very unique to it. Again, with the dome sapphire crystal, the case shape, the bezel, the way it's designed, and the way it fits on the case, and the hangs, everything here just comes together in a really unique way. This is a watch that you can see anywhere else.
Yeah, I have to say that the balance on your pieces is really great. They don't feel top heavy. They meld well into the wrist. They travel well. It's just a beautiful production that you guys do.
So, sorry, just on that note, a lot of the watches, this one and the Rush editions before this, we curve slightly. I don't know if you could see that.
Yeah.
You see there? The Rush also has a very curved case so that they conform to your wrist. in a way that they're not bulky on the wrist. So even if they're a little taller, they actually fit and wrap your wrist in a really comfortable way. Something we work a lot on to try and get that right.
I'm going to go ahead and move to the next one, though. We are going to stay in the V1 series, so last call for the moment on the Aqua. Keep in mind, by the way, as we move, that all of these have finite quantities, so we don't do rain checks, that sort of thing. When they're gone, they're gone. Obviously, a lot of you already reacted with the early notices we do on Facebook and Instagram, and certainly with the email. So, by the way, again, if you're not on our email list, go to TAW, or more accurately, talkaboutwatches.com and join up. It's all free, and we'll give you the heads up, too. The point is, we're going to move now from the Aqua, and we're going to get into what's called the V1 class. And this one is ordinarily $155. Here's the thing about this, and this is why I wanted to make sure that I did mention this a bit earlier. This is dropping to $79. So for everybody out there, I mean, come on, gift season is upon us basically now. We're in November, whether you like it or not. This is a perfect gift. But outside of that, for all you watch guys and watch girls treating yourself, and you're not familiar with Egard in person yet, which I totally get. You're going to love the brand, by the way. I've been a fan for a while. But the point is, okay, you don't want to necessarily step up into one of the bigger, higher-end automatics, and we're going to get to those prototypes shortly and so on. Try this at this kind of a really thin margin piece. You can get it for $79 and check it out. Because one of the things I love a lot is that when you hold up even the pieces you're willing to do like this as a promotion, that it really is indicative of the creativity and the quality that you've insisted on for this line.
Yep. Yeah, I don't really believe in compromising. I just believe in finding ways to make what I want to make. And so, yeah, this is a really unique collection. Also, it's a lot. So here's the thought process behind this one. I actually wanted to make something that I could just wear casually out during the day, that popped on the wrist a little bit, that had a really casual, fun feel, and had multiple variations. So we made something a little bit more classic. We're offering it in two colors, the green and the black. And again, here the green really pops. So the main thing here is the colors we try and get on these dials, these sunbursts. I don't know if you can see it, but these sunburst styles really just pop on the wrist.
Right, with the gem tones.
Yeah, and I love, sorry, my notifications don't want to turn off, but I love the, I love watches that you can wear that have NATO straps, because during the day I like to wear the super comfortable. And sometimes I don't want to wear leather, I don't want to wear metal, and NATO straps were a really, really awesome.
I'm with you on the NATO straps, by the way, and part of the reason I love them is that they're relatively inexpensive, and you can change them out easily, and through both, in this case, Egard as well as third party, there's all sorts of really cool color combinations that are out there. So you can get really creative. You can do it fast when you have a NATO system.
Yeah, and the green on the NATO strap actually cuts into the green on the dial. Same for the black. We put like a really cool blue and unique looking strap with the black, and it makes they complement each other. So I think you can do a lot of things with NATO straps. The case here is super thin, which I love. Kind of basket case.
This is so much watch for the money, man. It really is. And I'm going to move to the other one that's ultra affordable here to keep the show going. So the next piece that we're going to look at, I had shorthand here to call it a cub, but I think it's actually a cube, or am I wrong?
Cubic. Sorry,
it is cubic, yeah. I was going to say before I make an animal reference, it's completely unnecessary. So this one, here again, slicing the price almost in half. And look at the plunge on this one, guys. So let's delve into the cubic, which is, to me, one of these pieces that I think both men and women wear brilliantly. I love the radiant thing you did on the dial. There's so much to appreciate. And by the way, maybe we could open with the fact that this is one of those fancy shaped cases that you guys are famous for.
Yeah, so I believe everyone needs a square case watch, at least one in their collection. I think it can add a whole other level of variety to your collection. I think the nice thing about a design like this is it's so thin, this watch, it's light. You can wear it with a suit and be comfortable. You can wear it out during the day. This is one of my favorite daily wears, because the dial on these, the sunburst on these, is arguably our best sunburst that you're going to find on any of our watches. And again, the profile of the case is so thin, it fits under a cuff so easily, and just a clean leather strap. It's just a nice kind of overall classic looking square case watch, which is something I really wanted in my collection. Kind of what drove me to go out and make it.
And it looks sharp. And by the way, for guys, when you're looking at the millimeter of this, and I get the reaction, I deal with this level, that's too small. No, it's not. Let me tell you why. When you're getting into these, what the industry calls the fancy cases, or I just like to call them the unusual cases, like earlier, kind of that teardrop shape, or this one, which is mostly square, a little bit of a rectangle. It's really hard to measure this conventionally because when you look at this diagonally, which is actually how the official measurement is done on classic watches, the millimeter actually explodes. So this is something where it isn't so large that women can't really enjoy it. I think this is first and foremost probably aimed at the guys market. I've worn one of these myself. I'm telling you, there's tons of real estate in this. And that also brings back your point earlier, Alon, which I love, is I agree with you. I think to date, this has got to be one of the more, from a color and radiance standpoint, one of the more fascinating dials I've seen you guys do.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite daily wears. Like I said, I love the pop on the dial. I love square face watches. Like I said, I think they're mandatory in a collection. And this one, again, I don't have small wrists, but there's a couple of wrist shots that I sent over. You'll see this thing fits on your wrist really nicely. It has a good wrist presence despite it being thin and despite it being have a smaller size, because like you said, the rectangular case actually is measured differently than a circular case. So yeah, it has some nice wrist real estate and it looks really nice on the wrist.
You know, and it's not really tall, so it slides. And I got to recommend this one against suits, by the way. It's amazing with suits. So if you're wearing cuffs, stuff like that, it slides right under. There's not an issue. I'm going to go ahead and put a last call on this. Again, check the graphics for the colors, guys. And of course, as always, hit the link either off to the side or underneath, depending on the device you're watching this with. And we're now going to move to something that I'm really looking forward to. I'm actually going to open with the price on this because I don't even know how to put, frankly, your MSRP price on this at all. I'm going to leave if Alon wants to guesstimate it, and obviously he can, because here's where we're going. We're now making available prototypes, and I'll tell you flat out, these are going to be $500 a hit with shipping included. Alon, first of all, and you and I obviously off camera talked a bit about this. I'm not going to say never, but I've very rarely been able, over the years I've done watches, at first on television and now via 21st century tech with the internet, smartphones and so on, been able to offer prototypes. And to me, this is, and I speak as a collector, this is a collector's dream. This is something that, for those of you who don't know, that a lot of brands won't even make prototypes available at all, or if they do, they go to private collectors. They go to the president of the company or something like that. So this is really special, I think, from a collector standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, so there's only 3 of each of these colors made in existence. We really did something unique with this prototype specifically. It's a 4-piece titanium case, which we worked incredibly hard on. And this is a design where I really wanted to make a piece that could have certain qualities that were really classic and still offer the unique Egard cases and the unique quality we have for sunburst styles, and do something really, really special and at the highest quality. So we're looking at really, this piece for me is very special. And the response when people see it in person is that they're just insanely blown away. We've only offered this privately, like you said, to past 2 times to past collectors of ours who bought a lot of watches.
Sure, yeah.
They both sold right away within a minute. And so, again, you're getting something really, really unique on this watch. And you're getting something completely exclusive that would never be offered. And when we do go to final production, there are going to be slight differences if we go to final production. So there's a good chance you're getting something that might never be made, and you'll have the only version, you and 2 other people, which is just something super cool. And actually, this watch here is probably one of my favorite, again, designs that we've ever made. Incredible case work. So again, it looks classic from the front. The uniqueness of it doesn't pop out until you actually look at it, and then you realize, wow, this is a 4-piece titanium case with a layered bezel, 2-step bezel. Has that jewel crown. Just the movement's decorated in the back. We're looking at a Swiss automatic movement. We're looking again at a dome sapphire crystal. So the specs on this watch are absolutely insane. Between the titanium case, Swiss-made movement, automatic movement, sapphire crystal, exhibition sapphire case back with a decorated rotary movement.
I've got it, if I may, Alon, just interject for a second, because something that just really struck me as you were listing those features, namely, a lot of prototypes, this must be absolute final prototype, because usually prototypes don't go to sapphire until they're in final prototype. And another thing that, and by the way, front and back sapphire, also in this prototype, you've got your Swiss movement that's been completely decorated. This is, again, this has to be final prototype. That's really unusual. And another thing, Alon, if you started adding that up, if you're talking about multiple sapphire and the Swiss custom decorated automatic engines, and you can get one of those at $500 in a generic you've done really well. The fact that you've got this in what is truly going to be a genuine rare watch because it's a genuine prototype. This is frankly a steal at $500.
I mean, the casework that went into this, I don't want to talk about how much money I spent on this case mold to get it right in titanium. But you just don't see this kind of complexity usually on titanium cases, and this kind of and this kind of intricate, it's really, really subtle details that you have to just really look at, and you'll see the amount of work we put in. And again, yeah, this watch at 500 is genuinely a steal.
It truly is. I know that a lot of you will, okay, well, of course you're going to say that. And I assure you, I mean, I don't know how many of you ever collected a prototype. I mean, I know there's a lot of you that have hundreds of watches in your collection. Others, you have a few. But regardless of the number that you have, how many of you have a genuine prototype direct from manufacturer? I'll bet almost none of you do. I've collected for decades, and I think right now I want to say I have either one or two that's genuine prototypes. And frankly, that was only due to people I knew in the industry. If I hadn't had those connections, I would have zero. This is such an opportunity, and I hope that you will take advantage of this. Alon, I want to go ahead and actually just wrap the show up. Do you have any final thoughts on the prototypes or anything else that we've missed before we go?
Well, I mean, there's literally only two available in each color.
Exactly.
And again, this is just a special watch. I mean, there's not much I can say about it. You got to really see it to understand how beautiful it is first. But yeah, that's it. I'm happy everyone watched. I hope they liked the collection. And that's it on my end.
There we go. And on that note, I'm going to wrap things up. I want to thank all of you guys for tuning in. Thank you for helping TAW and Egard both grow so dramatically as we have in 2018. We have great plans for you guys. In fact, upcoming Black Friday is going to be huge. I won't say further at this point, but it's going to be amazing. Egard's going to be one of the brands participating in that. And then, of course, we're going to move into holiday season and then huge plans in 2019 as well. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. And our thanks, obviously, to Alon and Egard. And we'll see you back really soon for another edition of Talk About Watches Live. Be well, everybody.